Well, hello, everybody. We are back. It's been another 2 weeks, and here we are. We fixed Angie's background because somebody pointed out last time we did this that she had the identical background to some other YouTuber somewhere around the planet. And so we had to fix that. So that actually was a hike that, when did you do that? A year or two ago?
Last fall. It was actually October. We had the nicest October last year, and a girlfriend and I hiked up to. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy hike. You start at Logan Pass, and instead of doing Hidden Lake, you go the other direction. And yeah, there were a couple of sketchy little steps, but it was fun. It was beautiful.
And there was a goat that followed him around, and she has other pictures of this goat that are pretty cool. We'll have to show them some other time. I don't think we have them loaded up, but it was just peeking at him over a rock at the very top.
And it wouldn't let us. It just stood there, defending its territory. So we just sat down and watched it for 15 minutes or so until it moved on, but kept our distance because those horns look very pointy.
And he may knock you off the cliff as well.
Yeah.
Um, well, hello, everybody that's already here. Red Rose September. Hi from Nevada. Hi from Clancy, Montana. DM McCurry. Clancy, Montana. Isn't that right? South of Helena, I believe. And everybody else that's chimed in. So if you've been following along on my YouTube channel community page, let me know if you guys like that. I've been trying to post regularly. Sometimes I forget. It seems to get a lot of reaction, but let me put this up. I put this up the other day, and yesterday, I guess, this is actually Angie's new listing, and that is the view from the backyard. And I asked everybody where they thought that was, and not one person got it right, and there were like 35 comments. So the answer is Coram, Montana. And so that's kind of looking straight into the park. Coram is maybe, I don't know, 5 miles from West Glacier, if that. I'm not sure, but close. So anything over there is you have views of the park, and it's pretty nice. So there's your answer for everybody that cared. What else do you want? I mean, that listing that I can put it back up. Isn't that 20 acres?
It is. They owned a huge parcel at one point, and now they passed away, and so now they're selling the house and the remaining 20 acres, and it's very, very pretty there. You look right into the park, and yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous view.
Yeah, well, I think in the distance out towards the mountains, that used to all be theirs, correct? Isn't that the piece that they sold off?
That's how I understand it. Yep.
So if anybody wants 20 acres and a big house in Coram, let us know. We got another person from Oklahoma. A lot of Oklahoma people out there. I suppose this time of year, I just saw in the news that Texas and Oklahoma and that whole area is just it's very hot and humid and just nasty. So it's nice here today. It's probably 75, no humidity, a few clouds, and kind of nice out.
I know, and it's been nice in the evenings, and it's still cool enough at night that you can, open your windows and sleep very comfortably. It's been very nice.
All right. Well, last time we did not get to this, but I figured this week I promised you guys we would, so we can do the police report again. Our local police report. Let me pull up the ones we got. I didn't even show Angie so she can react alongside of you guys. I guess I have them backwards here. Let's see. Where did it go?
Well,
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Sorry, found it. Here's the first one. Someone reported a Labradoodle puppy on a leash was being too playful. And just remember, these are people that actually call the police department for these.
one of those Labradoodles, they can be pretty vicious.
Yeah. And then we got this guy. He called the dispatch and complained that the Jehovah's Witnesses and Congress owed him $2.3 million. So
Nice.
we'll have to keep you posted on whether or not he gets that money back or not.
Right.
And then this is kind of typical every week. A dozen or so cars and trucks were doing donuts in a parking lot. Let's see. Oh, and then, so for whatever reason this week, there was a whole bunch of animal reports. These are actually all from May. So the animals were running wild this week and people were calling the cops. Like this guy, a Columbia Falls resident, woke up to a cow in their yard. Two goats were wandering around Kalispell, but they didn't seem aggressive.
Thank goodness.
You don't want to run into the rogue goat. And then we have someone called the sheriff's department to express their worry that the neighbor's horses didn't have enough room to roam. So make sure your horses have enough room to roam. And following the report that a cat was stuck up on a power pole, dispatch told the caller that animal control does not deal with cats in this fashion and it will come down.
Well, I want to follow that one too. Did they get it down?
I don't know. We'll have to check, Fox News or CNN breaking news to see if they fix that. And someone's loose dog tried to go after the neighbor's cat. Another good reason to call the police.
Naughty dog.
A dog that began barking at 6:30 this morning had not run out of steam. I guess I should have put the time they called in to see how long that was going on.
Well, and was it the same dog that was chasing the cat?
It could have been. And these could have been the goats that we talked about earlier. Some ornery goats were running wild and tried to attack a man. So maybe those goats that were in Kalispell got irritated as the day went on.
Right.
And then finally, we will end it with this one. After 8 days of watching the same rogue dog wander the neighborhood, someone gave it some food, but was unsure of what to do next.
Oh, poor dog.
So there's our crime wave in Montana for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
A guy, Alan from Louisiana, just moved to Sheridan. And so, Alan, if you run into Frankie or Bob Jackson, they are my aunt and uncle, my mom's sister. And she kind of has an interesting story. She, like in her early 40s, decided to go back to college, and she got a doctorate in paleontology, isn't that right? Well,
yep,
and
dinosaur digging.
Yeah, so she would dig dinosaurs. So there's a big dinosaur, what do you call it, grave, over in Cutbank, Montana, and the University of Montana Montana State in Bozeman. They have a great dinosaur museum there, and she was part of all of the dinosaur artifacts that are in there, and it's a neat. They have what's the light thing called that we did, the solar.
The planetarium.
Yes, yeah. So if you're ever in Bozeman, it's a great something to do for a couple of hours in Bozeman, and my aunt was a part of it.
There you go.
Yeah, she's since retired in Sheridan.
I thought they have a place down in Utah too.
They do.
They do not spend the winter in Sheridan, apparently.
No.
All right. And then let's see. John Thomas From Missouri, how's the housing market situation? I heard many are leaving, can't stand the winter, and you have plenty of listings. I'm not sure where you heard that, but we have a few more listings this year, but not tons. Our inventory is still historically low. You know what's funny about people leaving after the winter? That's kind of ever since we've been in the business, that's kind of been a thing. There's some people that can't hang, and they come up here this time of year and think, "Oh, this is awesome. I want to live here. This place is beautiful," which it is, but they don't think about what it's like in January, and then they stick it out for a winter, um, and then it gets nice again, and they hang in there, and then they do one more winter, and then they tap out. So all the people that came up here right when Rona hit and bought everything, yes, those people, some of them are starting to tap out. But we still, because we had such a rush during that time, there's still tons of, or we're still very low in inventory.
And don't you think that, I mean, as much as, yes, the winters here can get kind of long, and this past one was just real icy and cold. Don't you think that with the new flights in here and people being more mobile, um, and the whole remote job thing, that's part of the reason people aren't selling? I mean, to sell their place and not be able to spend the summer up here. I think that's part of why people are hanging on to their homes and not selling after they experience a winter or two.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I mean, we've both been in the business for a long time, and there's every reason in the book, and not everybody, the winters aren't that bad. The winters, I'll tell you what, the winters in the Midwest and the upper Midwest and Minnesota are 1,000 times better than they are, or 1,000 times worse than they are here on this side of the state. Eastern Montana, basically from Eastern Montana through the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, that's all the same. But once you get over the mountains and on this side of the divide, we're more of the Seattle flow. It's very cloudy here in the winter, but that keeps the warmth in, so we don't get the bitter cold like they do on the east side. So, but if you're coming up here from Phoenix or LA or somewhere warm, our winter here is probably pretty brutal.
Well, and I think that part of it too is, because we're surrounded by mountains, we kind of get socked in. And I would say it's probably more the gray and the lack of sunshine that bothers people more than anything.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, you can go for a week or two without seeing the sun, and it is amazing how much that can affect people.
Yeah, we like to get out of here and head down to the desert in the winter as well, just to, take a break from winter.
Yeah.
And here you go. Here's one for you. You can just email us.
Mm.
You can tell him a little bit more about it if you want.
Yeah, the address is 570 Seville Lane in Quorum. And yeah, we'd be happy to email it to you. It's on 20 acres. The house is about 4,700 square feet. They only built it in about 2018, 19. And yeah, neat house, all one level, detached 3-bay shop garage that's all heated. The 20 acres is parked out. It's a beautiful piece of property.
Dwayne, I think I think this is the one you're talking about. This is the trivia question. That is Quorum. It's right by Glacier Park. We talked about it when we first came on. Let's see. We always get this question, Dally, and I can't tell you, there's no answer because it varies widely. It just depends on what part of the state you are, where it is, how big it is, and what it has on it. So I apologize. If you could be a little more specific, we can get you some answers. And Mike lived in Whitefish, loved it winter and all. Yeah, if you're into skiing, this is a good town. Um, there's a lot of people that come up here all winter long to ski and enjoy the winter, and it's a good place.
And I do find if you can get out in it and kind of enjoy it, whether it's snowshoeing or cross country skiing or downhill skiing, whatever it may be, kind of seems to make the winter go a little faster.
Yeah. Gregory, are there any Section 8 apartments in Whitefish? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, they're building a whole bunch of new apartments down in Kalispell right now. The problem in Whitefish is that, and I don't know if, because of capitalism, how they're going to fix this, but they're not building a lot of apartments, and we got the not in my backyard people, and it's just, yeah, it's tough to find housing up here, and they're not building a ton more other than high-end condo type places. Oops, what happened there?
Well, and I think that, the price of land has gone up so much that, then to build on top of that, any developers going to want to make it, worth it to build on that piece of property to get her return on their investment. So it's made everything in our area go up so high.
Whitefish is gorgeous from what I've seen on TV. First heard of the place on House Hunters. Is that the one that Bob was on? Do you know?
I don't know.
There's been a few of those real estate shows up here, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Whitefish is nice. Let's see, SR. 2 weeks ago, you touched briefly on buying land in Montana. Could you do a podcast just on buying raw land and where there is land to buy? Well, if you go to my main channel and look at the videos, just click on the videos and it'll show every video I've ever done. I've done quite a few videos just on buying land. As far as where, there's land to buy all over the state. It's going to, again, depend on the price range you're looking at and what part of the state you want to be. Let's see. Any prediction on when interest rates might drop? I just had coffee with Natalie, who's the lender I refer everybody to. And she said that they might come down a little bit later in the year, but they're probably going to stay fairly close to where they are. The good news is that they're not really climbing at the moment, but as far as coming back down, that doesn't look super promising. As far as coming way back down to where they were, I don't know if we're going to see that for a long time. So yeah, I don't. That's what I know. Dr. Kenyon Kirtan, wondering what the latest is on the proposed Howland Lake project, since there is so much blowback as a dead. We have a place in Swan Valley. First thing, you can get on, there's a Facebook group called Hands Off Howland Lake that you can join, and that gives you all of the up-to-date information. It's a huge group of people that are part of that group. If you're interested in that. Other than that, what I know right now is that back in, was it November maybe, they killed the original proposal. The Forest Service killed it. It's turned into quite the soap opera. So the Forest Service killed that, and then Powder, the company, came back and said, all right, fine, we'll redo it and resubmit it. And as far as I know, they have not yet resubmitted a new proposal. And then there's a bunch of people fighting because it was, there was a whole bunch of things that wasn't done properly when they put in this proposal, and the Forest Service didn't make public a lot of things they should have made public, and it's turned into this big thing. And now the main guy from the Forest Service has resigned. I don't know if resigned or he got transferred to a different position down in Missoula.
They said it was a lateral move.
Yeah, so they're looking for a new guy, but I think he's still in charge a little bit. So as of right now, it's still in a holding pattern. There's nothing happening there as far as construction or anything. And it's like I said, as far as I know, the new proposal has not come in yet.
Do you know if are they even? Is it open this year?
That's the other thing. And I was just looking at it the other day, and it was supposed to open the following day. And I haven't been back on there to see if it did open. I think they were planning on opening, you know, but yeah, it's a long, drawn out thing. So if you again, if you want to, hours of reading, you can get on that Facebook group, and people post all the newspaper articles and everything that's going on. So it will get you up to date. What do we got? Rich, I'd love to have a very exciting winter. Would love to leave Philadelphia and move to Montana. I don't blame you. Have you heard many complaints about this year's rise in the property tax appraisals? Yes.
Yes.
Maybe. So, I mean, we don't want to bore you guys and have everybody turn this off, but do you want to talk about how the property taxes work and why it's been all of a sudden that everyone's freaking out?
Well, I mean, yes, they're reappraised every 2 years on a 6-year cycle, isn't that right? The different areas.
I think the way I understood is they do everybody in the whole state every 2 years.
And it goes off of your real estate transfer certificate, which when you receive that as someone that buys a home, by law, you don't have to fill it out, but I mean, with, internet and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's how they appraise things. They can go onto your property to appraise something, but yes, people are not happy.
Because it goes from 2 years ago.
Right. Yes. Oh,
that's the other
exactly.
thing. So even though the values have gone down a little bit now, they're going off of what they were 2 years ago because they've been doing these appraisals for 2 years. So they're basing it on 2021 and 2022 prices, and those will stay for 2 years. That's what you'll pay taxes on. And then 2 years from now, it'll go off of what it is right now.
And you can, once a year, you can protest your taxes in November when you receive your November bill. Then there's a form you fill out, and you can say that you disagree with their appraised price.
Yeah, and then like a lot of people, where they'll go up a lot is if they added a garage or a shop or a guest house or whatever. That is obviously going to raise your taxes too, because you're taxed on the improvements to the property, not just the, size of the property. So if you're not too bored yet or confused, we'll move on. Does northwestern Montana have a lot of sunbirds who leave their homes for warmer climate during the winter? Yes.
And I would say more so in Big Fork and Whitefish than necessarily Columbia Falls and Kalispell, but it's all over our valley. I think people summers here are terrific. And, I think the older people become, the less you want to drive in it and walk in it. And I know for my parents, they just won't even go out on really bad days during the winter. They'd just rather stay home.
There you go. Here's a Hillary question. Yes.
She did.
The royal wedding was actually 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she's still on her honeymoon. So it was quite the event.
It was beautiful. So that the listing that I have, Her wedding was just past there by maybe a mile or so. It was called Green Valley Ranch. And yes, the setting was just beautiful. The weather was perfect. It was a really nice night. And the wedding was a lot of fun. She looked beautiful. Yeah, it was a fun time.
All right. Dwayne, what's the policy or laws relating to building a cabin in Montana?
Kind of depends on where you're building it.
Yeah, there's our laws are very few here, especially if you're out in the county. You don't, it's not like building in a big area, a big city in the country where there's all kinds of inspectors or whatever. They have a electrical inspection and a plumbing inspection is about it, unless you're in a town. So a lot of people build their own places, and that's why when you're buying a house out in the country, you definitely need to do a very thorough inspection to make sure the house is built properly, because we've seen a lot of houses that are not built properly, and that can affect financing, or the house can fall down.
And resale
Yep.
certainly affects that too.
Here's one for you, Anna.
Looking to visit Montana next year in March. Any must-see places to visit you would recommend? Well, I suppose it kind of depends on where you're going in March. A lot of the state will still have some snow. We certainly start to see spring and, see some, maybe a robin or two, that type of thing. If you're going through Yellowstone, March is, you can still see some good wildlife, and coming down from West Yellowstone down through Big Sky and into Bozeman, that's a beautiful area. You're coming up to our area, you can go up to Glacier Park, but you can only go up to Apgar. You can't do the whole going to the Sun Road, but it's still beautiful and certainly worth seeing, and drive around Flathead Lake. If you ski, you come up to either Whitefish Mountain Resort or Big Sky, Bridger Bowl. There's some great ski areas in our state. So I think it just kind of depends on where you're trying to go.
Yeah, what people don't think about, Montana is huge. I mean, it's like 650 miles across the state. So it's not like you can just bop around to places in a short drive. So yeah, it definitely will depend on where you're trying to go. Let's see real quick. Mike asking about Health and Human Services and food stamps. I don't know the answer to that, Mike. I assume it's fine, but you just have to Google or the different county or whatever county you're trying to go to. SR, I had a guy tell me once that 80% of the roads in Montana are dirt. That's what taxes are for, to make paved roads. Do you find that to be true? 80% seems a little
Yeah. Especially now. I mean, maybe 30 years ago, but
yeah, I'll let you take this one. Angie grew up here. She's been here her entire life. We won't mention her age, but it's been a few years since she was born.
Rude. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how long ago he told you that, but yeah, I would be, I mean, yes, I guess maybe Eastern Montana, if you're taking in the whole state and all the farmland, and, if they're considering that road, those roads.
There's still towns over in Eastern Montana, like the little tiny towns that the roads are even in town are dirt.
Yeah.
So, and people don't care. The tax thing, each county can decide on how they spend their tax money. And a lot of people they're fine with the dirt roads. And like there's a road that goes up to Pullbridge up here that's dirt. And people are always complaining, they should pave that road. Well, then you have the other side of people that say, well, it keeps the speed down, because it gets rutted out and washboard in the summer, and so people aren't doing 80 miles an hour, and that's what people are worried about paving it, is that it'll turn into the Autobahn going up to the north end of the Glacier Park through
Well,
the wilderness like that. And so,
and I don't think a lot of those people that live up there full time want it paved.
yeah,
I mean, they move up there to get away from people. They don't want, yeah, they don't want a whole bunch of people up there. They don't want it paved. And Will is right. People come up here and drive too fast, and that's when animals get hit. And I don't, yeah, it just, especially on a road like that where there's so much wildlife.
there we go. That's amazing. Hope we
She
get to go.
did.
Yes, and her daughter did graduate.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to see her walk, and we went down there for a few days and then flew home the next morning so we could attend Hillary's wedding.
And here's another wedding announcement. My daughter, who lives in North Carolina, decided to be married on her former family farm at Highwood at the end of July. Please have good weather. We'll put in a good word. Let's see. Steve, what's going on in Billings? Are they still working on changing the skyline? I don't know the answer to that. I haven't been in Billings in quite a while. Billings is about 8 hours from here. So I'll have to get back. We'll have to get back to you. Let's see. Property tax appraisals have to be distributed within 30 days of receiving appraisal in June, not in November. Okay. Did I say something about November?
I did. That's when you have the chance to dispute it. I'm not sure if that's what he means.
Oh, okay. Would you like to elaborate on the train going off the bridge in Reed Point? Bad deal.
Very bad deal.
Yeah, it looks like the bridge just collapsed. They were saying that they had, again, that's like 8 or 9 hours from here. So from where we are. So I've just read in the paper just like you, but it sounds like they had a couple of big storms in the spring runoff, and that, the river was pretty high and took a beating this spring, and they're speculating maybe that's what weakened it. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully they get it cleaned up and it doesn't kill a bunch of fish.
Well, and I did see that they cut off a couple of water systems, that so it wouldn't contaminate water.
Yeah, but they were also saying too, the good news is that I guess what they have in there isn't a good, but it's not horrible. And they said with the amount of water still running through the river, it's going to dilute it pretty quickly, and it shouldn't be a major disaster. Obviously, it's not good, but it could have been a lot worse, is what I've heard. Are Montanians interested in building a large modern city in Montana? I would say no. And along those lines, so I'm going to rant a little bit about, we were talking about this morning. So these people, and again, it was private property. You can do what you want, but the reason, locals kind of get irritated sometimes. So this company bought it's called the Isaac Walton Inn, and it's this old train
stop.
Train stop, but there's a big hotel, and it's historic, and it's been there for, I don't know, since the early 1900s. And they had it, we would go up there we like to go up there on Thanksgiving and just go hang out for the day and eat there for Thanksgiving dinner. But it was really cool, this old building, obviously, but it was upgraded and it wasn't going to fall down or anything. It was just a historic building, and they had all the old train signs and pictures of the railroad, and it sits right basically halfway across the bottom of Glacier Park. So it's in a beautiful area, and they got a couple of old cabooses sitting out there where you could rent and spend the night. And in the winter, there's cross country skiing trails. And anyway, this company from, I don't know where these guys were from, Oregon, I think.
Maybe Washington. I forget where
Yeah,
it's.
Seattle, somewhere, bought it, and they're gutting the place, and they're, making it all modern, and I don't know. And this is why some of the locals get irritated. And again, I'm not against, it's private property. You can do what you want, but this is 100% my own opinion. So if anyone has a problem with this, send your complaints to me. But if they wanted a new fancy hotel, build it next door and leave that one the way it was. I mean, I don't understand why they would go in and gut that. And, they auctioned off all the old stuff, and there was a bunch of people there buying the little railroad things and pictures. And so, yeah, kind of a sad deal, but I guess it goes along with this guy's question, building a large modern city. Most locals here want it to be left the way it is, because there's just not a lot of places left in the country that are like this. And so it's sad when people come in and tear up part of history like that. And I will leave it at that before I get in trouble.
Says it was built in 1939. Yeah. If you get a chance to look it up, it's I've gone up there since I was a kid. We used to do either Thanksgiving or Christmas up there. And as kids, you could go downstairs and play pool, and there were all these games. And, our big thing is that we got to, order hot chocolate and put it on the room tab. And then there are all these hiking and cross-country cross-country skiing trails. So yeah, I'm sad that they're gutting it and totally changing it.
If you look on a map, it's called Essex as the town. And again, town is
right,
kind of
a stretch.
Yeah, because that's basically all that's there. Is that, I mean, there's some houses, I guess, out on the highway, but basically that train depot or stop was there. And so anyway, I will quit ranting about that. But to answer your question, Steve, that would be a gigantic no. We're getting down to the bottom already. We're only 40 minutes in.
Oh, did you see the one from Frank? Does Montana have any wildlife crossing bridges? Actually, I can think of two that we have. One down, going down to Missoula, and one on Highway 206 between Columbia Falls. And isn't that, because that one you can go, the animals can go under.
Yeah, the one down by Missoula is a bridge. What did he ask? Bridges. Yeah, that one's definitely a bridge. The one on 206 in our valley is a tunnel. But again, I remember when they were building that, and there's a herd of elk that use that range. We used to live over there off of Highway 206, it's on the east side of the Flathead Valley, for those of you that aren't familiar with this area. And the east side has got these big mountains along the edge of the valley. And so there's a range or a herd of elk that go up and down the range there, and they cross the highway occasionally to go feed in the fields or whatever they're doing. And they built this tunnel, and I was always laughing, like, why would the elk or anything use that tunnel? Because they fenced off, they made it so if you're coming across right there, they got a fence maybe a few hundred yards on either end, so it would funnel them into that tunnel. But if they just went down another quarter mile, they'd cross the road again. So I thought it was kind of funny that unless you're going to fence the entire roadway and make that the only way to go under, I thought that was a whole bunch of money they spent that maybe could have been spent better. I don't know.
Well, and at the time that they did this wildlife crossing. Highway 206 was horrible. I mean, you had these really steep ditches and it was very narrow, 2-lane road. And it's kind of a main corridor to get from like the north end of Flathead Lake up to Glacier Park. So during the summer, there were always an accident or two, that type of thing. And they did last summer, and they're finishing it up this year. They smoothed out those, brought in dirt or whatever they did, and they didn't really widen the road itself, but it is definitely better. But when they put that wildlife crossing in, it was it was like, yeah, here's 10 miles of a horrible road, but yeah, let's try to get the animals to cross right here.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot of comments on the new city. And yes, I would think if you put that up to a vote in Montana, it would probably lose 99.9% to 0.1%. And then Joe agrees with me. Leave history alone. Rocky Mountain guy. Are you expecting people to leave Montana since Yellowstone is ending? Will's going to fly back and forth. Yes, I've already bought all my tickets. I got to go back and forth now to shoot my scenes. No, I don't think people will leave. I think it'll slow down. That show definitely, I think, again, it was all about timing because it was right during Rona is when it got very popular and everyone was sitting at home watching TV, which also helped with the ratings. And, they did a great job of, is it the word cinematography, or, it was beautiful the way they filmed it. And they showed, this is a beautiful state. So I get why everybody wanted to move up here. But the people that moved up here aren't leaving except for the ones that tap out after winter. So, but yeah, I'm going to have to fly back and forth to Hollywood now. I don't get to drive down to Hamilton anymore. Another one, exactly. Will leave the Montana historical buildings alone. Yes. I don't think too many people would argue with that. And I don't understand what they were thinking. I don't know. I'm not in the hotel business, so I probably am not qualified. All I'm going off of is, that's been a cool place for years and years and years. I don't understand the reason to change it, period. So again, before I get in trouble, I'll leave it alone. We went each year in January to stay in the caboose with our grandchildren. They loved it. Yeah. I think that, the good news, I don't think they're getting rid of the cabooses. They're just remodeling the inside of the main lodge.
The downstairs bar was fun, it was like an old, not saloon, but, behind the bar itself was pretty. And I don't know. Yeah, just kind of sad.
Yep. Dally, how is the car pass thing working out for Glacier? Why is it so hard to get car passes, and how many do they allow a month? I will say it's not as hard as it once was. I had to go for an upcoming video I went up to a little get together about wildfires that was up the North Fork, and the quickest way to get there is going through the park. And so I actually bought a pass that morning at 6 a.m. when I got up, and there were like 200 available. So I think it's gotten easier. And I think again, because of Rona's over and things have kind of sort of gone back to normal, there's not as many people as there was the last couple of years. And so I think it's easier to get passes. But, I would try and get one in advance. Don't take the chance. But if you don't get a pass, you can still get in after 3:00 or before 6:00 in the morning. So anyway, that's my take on that. Here's one for Angie, who's the Glacier Park expert.
What is the bug situation like in Glacier in August? Are there a lot of mosquitoes? It kind of depends on where you are. If there's water, there can be some mosquitoes up high. What I notice is more like the horse flies and flies. And we did a hike up near Eureka a couple of years ago. We hiked up to a fire lookout, and they were these weird little fly bee looking things, and they were everywhere. I mean, you didn't want to stand still. They were so awful. But compared to Minnesota, it's nothing. So, and that was kind of a little bit of a dig at Will, from his
My
Minnesota.
heritage.
Exactly.
I know what Off the Grid is all about, looking for 20 plus acres northwest Montana. Are there any hot springs in northwest Montana? Yes. Well, I guess, would you consider Quinn's northwest?
Yeah,
Ish?
maybe.
Yeah, there's Quinn's Hot Springs. There's
Well, there's
what
hot
else over north?
springs. There's
Oh yeah, Hot Springs, Montana. Yeah, that's northwest.
yeah.
So yes. So there's definitely, I don't know if you can find land with a hot spring on it that's available, but there are definitely hot springs up here. Michael, I've been following you guys for over a year now, planning on moving there next April. Haven't seen anyone ask if it's acceptable to live out of my camper and be mobile to be able to find work. Yeah, I mean, I guess finding a place to park your camper is going to be the hardest part, but finding work will not be hard depending on what you're looking to do. Everyone here is looking for help, and that should not be a problem. So, yeah, I guess I would just, if you're coming up here in April, I would start this fall trying to nail down a spot to park, or figure out where you're gonna stay. Let's see. How did I got mixed up here.
Um,
How about this one? Oh, you just clicked off. Oh,
I escaped New York not to see many people and traffic. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel the same.
Brandon, do you know if the state has fixed the rough road that takes you to Bowman Lake just after the ranger station? We came last July and it was rough, but definitely worth it. I think they grade that once a year. We haven't been up to Bowman. That's the only thing about those car passes that I find thoroughly annoying, is we used to go up to Bowman all the time, but now you have to have a pass to get in that gate as well. And that's the only way to get to Bowman, is going through that way. You can't go in the main gate and access Bowman. You have to go up to Polebridge and go in the gate up there. So I don't know if they've graded it this year, but usually by the end of summer they get so much traffic on it, it does get kind of rutted up, and but again, it keeps everyone going slow, that's for sure. What else? Are there any museums near St. Mary Bab area? I don't think so.
I don't think, unless you go into Browning, there aren't any that I'm aware of. There's the visitor center in St. Mary. I suppose Bab Bar could be considered a museum. Joking.
Oh, yeah. Suppose it won't be long before someone buys that and redoes it.
Yeah, for sure.
What is it like in Plains, Montana? Well, it's a small town, river running through it. Pretty. I don't know. What you have anything to
very
add?
pretty. There's a river. You're, I don't know what, an hour from Kalispell, hour from Missoula ish.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Pretty remote over there. If you're looking to get away from the big cities, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Curtis, hope you thank the good Lord every day for getting love in such a beautiful state. We do. It is a good spot. I still say this is the in the lower 48 states, I'd say our valley, there's Nothing prettier. I'm sure Alaska has things that would compare, but I don't know anything else here.
Well, and even this morning we hiked up to up on Big Mountain, the Whitefish Mountain Resort. You know, you can hike up to you can hike up to the top if you want. We hiked up to what basically is Chair Two, and yeah, you get a nice view of the valley and Whitefish Lake, and yeah, it was beautiful this morning.
I'll let you take this one too.
How are the local business faring? When I visited last month, every diner and small store I've gone in have told me that they had to let go half of their employees due to Rona. Huh. I mean, I don't. I guess my question would be: were you in the Flathead Valley? Because certainly our area, you know, yeah, we're still hurting for employees, and it just seems like every place is still looking for help. Um, so I mean, maybe in some of the smaller eastern Montana towns, possibly.
Yeah. Gordon, I hear rumors of McDonald's coming to Eureka.
Ooh,
Huh.
huh.
I've not heard that rumor. This is the first look at Gordon's breaking news here on
No
our
kidding.
channel. Yeah, they have a Subway there, or they did. Um, you know um, what's funny about Eureka is there was how long ago was that? There's a cafe, and it's since closed and changed hands, which is weird. But some guy, the chef there, he entered his hamburger in like a national contest and he won. He was on like Good Morning America and all kinds of stuff for this hamburger. And it was, I forget what he even had on it. It was pretty good. We went up there to try it out.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I think that place has changed hands 2 different times since that guy had it. Um, but I guess your McDonald's made me think of the burger thing. So I don't know how McDonald's would even do up there,
Yeah,
you know. What they if they were smart, because it's right on the Canadian border, they'd open a Tim Hortons instead of a McDonald's because of all the Canucks that come down through Eureka. They would love that. Those Tim Hortons up in Canada, they're just printing money. So they would probably like to have one down here in Eureka. So if you're looking to buy a franchise and move to Eureka, I would go with the Hortons before a McDonald's. Let's see. Oh, this is the one you were just talking about. So we're going up to Glacier. We're going up to
mini glacier.
Mini Glacier in a couple weeks, and we were talking about stopping there. So we'll have to get back to you. I don't know if it's open. I'm assuming it is, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll check it out and we'll report back because I was asking the same thing.
What is Rona? That is my shortened up coronavirus term, Rona. And we always refer to the last few years as the Rona years.
So I did Google it, Two Sisters Cafe, and it says that it's open until 9 tonight. So we'll see.
Can you make a video to cover different parts of Montana to move to that have good availability for electrical engineering positions and good hunting opportunities? Electrical engineering, well, you'd need a bigger city, I'm guessing. So you've got Missoula or Bozeman, and those would be around hunting as well. So there's my 2 cents there. Starting to see a lot of price reduction in the Flathead and Gallatin, but it's still not enough considering the rates. It will be interesting to see what happens this fall. I agree. Do you know of any businesses coming to Kalispell like Tractor Supply? I have not heard of that they're coming. What they just there's up there by Costco and all of that. What didn't they just open something that everyone was excited about?
A store?
Yeah, over by the
Um,
Chipotle and over in
Kohl's
there.
or something. I think it was a
Or
Kohl's.
Cole, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big shopper, so you're asking the wrong guy. Tim Hortons is really bland. They're the donut in Canada, and they don't care. Well, I would agree with you. There are a couple of Timbits that are good when we go up there. We have some friends up there. In fact, we're going up there in August again. Um, but yeah, the food there, I agree, is not great. But they're printing money in Canada. Every time you drive past a Hortons up there, the drive-through's got cars wrapped around the entire building. So let's see. I'm an electrical controls engineer. I've been wanting to move for a year or two, but just keep trying to find the right job. All I do is hunt, so that's a big thing. Well, good luck. I guess you would know more than I would where to find those type of jobs, but I would assume the bigger cities are the ones that are going to work out. Is Airbnb a thing in Kalispell? Yes. They have all kinds of listings down there, as does VRBO, if you're looking to get a place up there. So, CJ there's no way you can make money with Airbnb in Kalispell in 2023, just my opinion. Too much competition and the rates are super high. That could be true. I know there's a lot of competition. I don't know about the rates. We don't do that. So we'll take your word for it.
But I have heard that there's a bit of an oversaturation right now with, because was so allowed in our area. So I could get behind that.
Is it as much of a nightmare as everyone says about finding a rental property, or should I plan on living in my camper until I find a property? Yeah, I mean, rentals are tough, especially if you have animals. If you have dogs or cats, it's very tough. It's getting better. They're building and opening new apartments all over. But yeah, I would give yourself a lot of time before you come up here to find a rental.
And our MLS, we don't have rentals on our multiple listing service. So make sure you reach out to, the different, Google rentals in Kalispell, Columbia Falls, Whitefish, Big Fork, wherever you're trying to live. And there are a number of different rental agencies. So I would definitely, check that out, because every once in a while, like I have a girlfriend, she has 5 or 6 different rentals and lets me know every time one of them comes available. But unless you're like right, perfect timing for stuff like that, you're probably better off going through one of the rental agencies.
Yep. Well, we're coming up on an hour, so thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks again. We do have, for any of you that don't have our MLS link and you want to look at properties around here, send us an email and we can get you hooked up, or text me. I should probably have my phone number up there. If you just send me an email, I can, or you can email me your mobile number and I can send you the link so you can have it on your phone. But everyone I've talked to likes the mobile one better than the laptop one. So anyway, and if you have not subscribed to our main channel, please do. We would appreciate that. And again, email us anytime with other questions, and thanks for tuning in, and we will see everybody in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
See you later.